When they go low, we go high. And so we've worked really, really hard to make this happen, had to pull a lot of strings. And right now, I'm going to introduce to you the woman who basically has brought us all together. Jane Shlimovich is an immigrant that came to the United States from the USSR when she was only 8 years old. She has lived here in New York City for over 12 years. She is not a professional organizer, in fact, but has been motivated by everything that's been going on since the election, having taking part in not only organizing the Women's March here in New York City, but also the Tax March, and now New York City Loves Muslims. So without further ado, Jane Shlimovich.
Hi, everybody. Oh my God, I cannot believe you all are here today. Thank you so much for coming. When I first saw the event that's happening over there on Facebook, I said to myself, no, there's no way that these folks can come to New York and say these things, what they want to say, and we all just go about our business on a Saturday and let them say those things and it'll go unanswered. But when I created the event on Facebook, I wanted to send a special message, and that message is, we must say no to bigotry and Islamophobia. We must say no in the courts, in Congress, in the streets, but we also must say yes. We must say yes to our values of diversity, tolerance, and pluralism. And we also must say yes to each other as humans with our hearts. And we want to say yes to our Muslim neighbors, friends, and colleagues, not just that we tolerate you, not just that we will fight for your civil rights. We don't want to just say a meh or a okay. We want to say yes. We want you to be here. We love you. We want you to be our neighbor. We embrace you, and we would never have it any other way. And it is especially important in times like these when all of our values are on the verge of being destroyed by all the hate and bigotry and intolerance that's going on over there, that we take time to come together on a beautiful day like today to affirm our common humanity, to affirm our common values, and to say to each other that we love each other and we want each other to be here. This is the future. Those folks over there, what they're talking about is the past. And we are not going back to that past. Over here, all of us, from all races, all religions, all genders, all ages, all countries, all languages. This, what we've got here, we are the future. So thank you all for coming here today to affirm this message. I want to just quickly thank my co-organizers, Mohammed, Naeem, who you just heard, Wilfredo de Guzman, and James Schmitz, who said yes when I texted them 11 days ago and said, can you help? And I want to thank CARE New York, and I want to thank NYC, who said yes when we needed their help, and they have been so generous with their support. And I want to thank all of our coalition partners who came out here today, who came here, got you to come out, made sure you're safe, made sure that you came here today. They said yes, and we must say yes to each other all day, every day. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jane. So like she said, we really want to thank CARE New York. Without CARE New York, this is not happening. Very plain and simple. So I'm going to introduce to you the Executive Director of CARE New York, Afaf Nasher, and the Legal Director, Albert Khan. Both Afaf and Albert have been fighting on the front lines, not only since the last election, but they've been fighting on the front lines for years now. And they deserve a tremendous amount of credit as to pushing the civil rights of Muslims, not only in New York City, but across the country. So without further ado, CARE New York.
Good morning, and as we like to start off every saying, Salam Alaikum! New York City, greetings of peace and love, because that is what today is about. So let me hear you say it. Peace and love! Peace and love! NYC! NYC! Peace and love! Peace and love! We do stand together, you and I, as brothers and sisters, and that is the phrase we use again and again. But let me make it clear, this phrase is not just one of, superficial rhetoric. When you are attacked, I am under attack. When you are under siege, I am under siege. And we will stand in solidarity to protect one another against any kind of hatred that tries to get into our circle of love. But you know what, my brothers and my sisters, that will never happen, because on a Saturday morning, in the first heat wave of the city, we stand here together. And we stand here together to affirm what this nation is truly about. Some people want to convolute the message. They want to say that this nation is only for one type of person, one color, one faith. We know better than that. We know the legacy that our country holds, and we know the promise of tomorrow. This is my daughter. Everything I do is for her and for your children, because we owe them that much. I cannot tell her to be proud in her faith if she doesn't have you to stand up for her. I cannot tell her to not, to keep her head up high if you are not willing to defend her. And at the same time, I tell her in front of you, make sure you're able to defend yourself too, and understand that all these people have got your back. Is that right? The only other thing that I want to say is really to express my humble love and gratitude. This is the month of Ramadan. It's a month of fasting. And many of you know that means not eating or drinking until sunset. But there's a lot more to fasting than just that. It is really protecting your speech from saying anything hateful. It is protecting your ears from allowing negativity to sink in. It is protecting your heart from any animosity towards those that are part of our humanity. And so in this Ramadan, I celebrate all these ideals through you. And thank you so much for joining us. And keep up the spirit, keep up the fight, keep up the love. We need you today and tomorrow, and we will be there for you as well. Thank you so much for having us, Albert Khan.
Hello, salam alaikum. My name is Albert Khan, and I'm the legal director of CARE, but I am also a Jewish man who fights every day for the rights of Muslim New Yorkers. And I know there are a lot of you out there as well. I know there are people of every faith, of every religion, of every background who know that our rights are only as strong as the rights of our Muslim neighbors. That our freedom to practice our faith is only as strong as their freedom to practice without fear, without apology, and without hate. But more importantly, I know that when people gather in the city to say that New Yorkers stand for hatred, that New Yorkers stand for bigotry, that is not the true face of New York. That we hear a lot about New York values. We hear a lot about people who say that New York values are a bad thing. Well, I say, look around. This is a New York value. Solidarity is a New York value. Love is a New York value. And freedom to practice your faith is one of the most quintessential New York values. Today we have a simple message. The opposite of hatred is not indifference. The opposite of hatred is not tolerance. The opposite of hatred is love. And today we will show our love for our Muslim brothers and sisters, and we will show that we will never be silent in the face of hatred. Thank you so much.
Whoa. That was so powerful. Thank you both, Albert and Afaf. Next, we have Talia Barr. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that name. So Talia is from the Jewish Social Justice Contingent, representing JFREJ, JVP New York, Jews Say No, and the Network Against Islamophobia. So let's make some noise for Talia.
Thank you. You got my name totally fine. Good morning. Hi. What a beautiful day to stand in solidarity. This is so wonderful to look out and see all these folks, as people have said. So I'm Talia. I am a member of Jewish Voice for Peace New York City, and we're here today with the Jewish Social Justice Contingent, right? Also, Jews for Racial and Economic Justice are here. Jews Say No are here. The Network Against Islamophobia is here. And we are all here to say no to Islamophobia and anti-Arab bigotry, no to white supremacy, yes to building community and protecting one another, yes to dignity and justice for all communities. We know that Islamophobia is not really about a conflict between religions. It's a tool used by those in power and those desperate to hold on to power in order to maintain and expand a state of surveillance and security. And we see our government using this tactic in its policies at home and abroad. We see it in racist and unjust and illegal travel bans, to racist rhetoric around the so-called war on terror. This fear-mongering harms not only the most affected, so Muslims, immigrants, all people of color, but also all of us. We must and we will win and fight really hard to win this necessary and loving fight against anti-Muslim and anti-Arab bigotry in all its forms. The Jewish Social Justice Contingent is here today, inspired by our tradition, our Jewish tradition, to fight for justice, to work tirelessly for it, and to resist individual and state violence against our Muslim brothers and sisters and against all who face oppression. We oppose and will stand against Islamophobia in the streets with everything we have. We will also fight strongly and resist strongly against our government institutions having and including Islamophobia in their policies at every level. This resistance is not only a matter of solidarity, but a responsibility for all Jews and all who seek justice in our world. We have seen this before, and we refuse to stand idly by and be complicit in the oppression of our Muslim brothers and sisters in the United States, in Palestine and Israel, and worldwide. We are all safer in a world that is built on justice and equal rights for everyone, and we must build that world together, starting today, continuing today. There is no other option. Thank you.
Thank you, Talia. So next we have a dear friend of mine who I've known for probably over a decade. Sunita Viswanath is the co-founder of Sadhana, which is a coalition of progressive Hindus. Sunita has been at every single fight, locally, on a national level, and also on an international level. And I could not be more honored to be introducing her to the stage right now. So Sunita Viswanath.
I'm Sunita Vishwanath of Sadhana, Coalition of Progressive Hindus. And I come with love. There are people motivated by fear and hatred of Muslims who are taking to the streets across this nation today. There are those within my own Hindu community who share this fear and hatred of Muslims. Our message to them is that Hinduism calls us to treat all humanity and all of nature as divine. Our dharma is to ensure justice and peace and never to hate and discriminate. And to those from my community who think that the hatred is just for Muslims and not for us, we only need to remember Srinivas Kuchibhotla, the Hindu Indian who was killed in Kansas some months ago. The killer mistook him for an Arab, but we all know that his hatred wouldn't have been diminished one bit if he knew that Srinivas was a Hindu. My message is simple and clear. The heart of Hinduism is pluralistic. The most often repeated teaching is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. That is, we are one. God is in every one of us, regardless of race, religion, caste, sexual orientation.
Harming one harms all. And if we harm anyone, we harm ourselves and our planet. To the hatred, we say no. To the bigotry, we say no. To the unjust policies targeting Muslims and immigrants, we say no. To the hate speech and hate acts targeting people of color, we say no. We are here with so much love in our hearts, power in our voices, conviction in our veins, and commitment to unity and justice for all to drown out the hate. When there's this much love for each other, the hatred doesn't stand a chance. I and all the members of Sadhana pledge to come out in unity today and tomorrow and again to say, we are one. We are one. We are one. We are one. Thank you.
Can you take this?
Oh, yeah.
My arm is hurting and I'm very...
Yeah. Thank you, Sunita. So next we have Anika Fardush. Anika is, she's a native New Yorker. She just finished up college, in fact. And when we asked to have a voice on this stage that didn't necessarily represent an organization or a network or a working group, we asked for those folks who are affected every single day by these issues in their communities to be on this stage, and that is so critical. So without further ado, Anika Fardush.
It is such an incredible honor to represent my fellow sisters and brothers in faith and in solidarity today. As a Muslim American raised in New York City, not a single day since 9/11 has been without fear, without apprehension that my neighbors will suddenly want me to go back to my country, or that my hijab will be stripped off along with my First Amendment rights. But I continue to count my support and blessings, especially as someone who was raised in East New York. Unlike many of the bigots attending anti-Sharia protests today, I had the privilege of attending public school with Black, Latino, East Asian, West Indian, and South Asian people of color. I learned how to decolonize my mind and learned to ask questions when I was unaware. Of course, I had people come up to me and say salam, which means peace be upon you, but say it as a pickup line. But I also saw fellow Muslims in taxis and running local bodegas. New York City became my safe space. When my Black brothers were murdered for their melanin and trans people of color were killed for their identity, we took to the streets. When someone harassed my younger sister and I on the 7 train, my white allies defended me until we got off at the next stop. New York City cultivated a space of mutual understanding and fostered activism. And when it comes time to rise against oppression, know that our city woke up really early on a Saturday to speak out against oppressors. And I urge all of you to continue to do so in the many difficult years to come. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Anika. So next we have Rabbi Bara Elman, who is a member of JFREJ, and she is also a social justice activist. So I will let her go on. Thank you. Rabbi.
Wow, this is amazing. This is amazing to see that I can't see the end of this group here. So good morning and Shabbat Shalom. I am really honored to be able to stand here before you on this Shabbat morning even though it means obviously I'm not in synagogue. But if I were in synagogue today, I might have had the chance to offer a Devar Torah, words about the Torah reading. And so I am going to use my time now to speak a little bit in terms of my religious tradition and how it bears on us and what we're trying to do today. I'm here today because this is my job as a Jew. Okay? I have this job because that's what being a Jew is. Now, there is an expression which is really, first of all, very misunderstood, often misused, very contentious, but I'm going to use it today and I'm going to explain it to you. The Jews, as you may know, are sometimes called the chosen people. And some people use this in a way to be exclusionary or divisive or racist or any other kind of way of claiming, but they actually misunderstand the word entirely. And I say this, I'm also a professor of Bible, so I know what I'm talking about. Chosen means appointed. It means given a job. It means assigned a responsibility. And Jews are assigned the responsibility, according to our Torah, to be a kingdom of priests. Now, what does that mean, to be a kingdom of priests? Well, in today's Torah reading, we're told that one of the jobs of the priests is to serve in the ancient temple, in our ancient tradition, in order to protect the community as a whole. Their job is to sort of be a buffer, to surround the community of a whole in a way that keeps everyone safe. So as Jews, as kingdom of priests, we are commanded to do a similar thing with the communities that surround us. We are supposed to be there to stand up, to protect the world around us. It's a big job, and it can give us a lot of hubris to think it's our only job, and it's not, we're all the only ones who have it, but it's one that I take very seriously, and especially in these days when it seems that there are so many people who need us to stand up and stand around. Down the street, or rather, I guess it's uptown, but it looks down the street. Uptown, there are a group of people who feel that because of their religious beliefs, they are entitled to attack anyone who disagrees with them or is different from them. In particular, they feel entitled to attack Muslims. They feel entitled to slander a beautiful religion that is followed by millions of people across the globe, including in this wonderful Syrian country. They feel entitled to incite hate and even violence against Muslims. They are marching today, apparently, against the so-called threat of Sharia law. But we know that's not why they're really marching. They're marching against members of our community, our sisters and our brothers, our neighbors, our cousins, our daughters, our husbands, our best friends, and they're telling them that they think they are illegitimate and not allowed to be here and that they are dangerous. But they're wrong. And I refuse to be silent or to be inactive when they threaten my sisters, my neighbors, my cousins, my friends, and my family. I refuse, not just because of my respect for Islam and for my friendship for all of these people that I just said. I refuse because my own law, my Jewish law, which is called halakha, tells me I must. Like Sharia law, this thing that is so scary to everybody, halakha is simply the guide to how to live as a committed Jew. It informs how I behave, it informs how I eat, it informs how I pray. I'm grateful that there's no one out there today marching against halakha. They probably don't know what it is, but they also probably don't know what Sharia law is, those folks uptown. But it makes no difference to me whether they're fighting against or marching against Sharia or halakha or canon law or any other kind of religious belief, because when they march against those beliefs, they're marching against me too. And I want to stand up against them in solidarity with my Muslim sisters and brothers and tell them that if anyone's going to come against them, they're coming against me. And I'm going to stand up with them and I will be there every day next to my sisters and brothers to tell them that I love Muslims and New York loves Muslims. And as a Jew, as a rabbi, on Shabbat, I want to tell them they are not welcome here. Their bigotry is not welcome here. Their hate is not welcome here. But the Muslims that are contributing to our community, you are so welcome here. Shabbat Shalom and Ramadan Kareem.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Islamophobia's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Islamophobia's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Islamophobia's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho,
Islamophobia's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Islamophobia's got to go, and it's gone with your love.
Yes. So, we're going to bring onto the stage our comptroller, Scott Stringer. Scott has been a champion for working families here in New York City. He has advocated for affordable housing. He has strengthened the health of our city, and he is always promoting open, transparent government. I have done quite a few actions this entire year, and I can say that our comptroller has been at every single one of them, and his support has been incredibly helpful and important. So without further ado, Scott Stringer.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, New York, and I want to say today that I am proud to be here as city controller. I'm proud to be here as a lifelong New Yorker. I'm proud to be here as an American, and I am especially proud to be here as a Jewish American standing with the Muslim community in this city and in this country. Because make no mistake, when they come for you, they're coming for me. And when they come for me, oh, they're coming for you. And Donald Trump has sparked a hatred with a very few groups of people that want to dismantle the great diversity of America and our city. And today we demonstrate to show the world that we reject this kind of racism and anger and destruction, because we are a city of immigrants. We're a country of immigrants. We're proud of it. We want our children to be proud of it, and we are not backing down at all. Now, on a personal level, I'm just not sure after this week how long Trump will be president. He's got to work on his Russian thing, his lying thing, his espionage thing. So he's got some issues, right? While he is trying to disengage himself from all those investigations, we're going to still talk about an economy for all. We're going to talk about educating all our children. We're going to talk about how we build integration, not segregation. We're going to make sure that the haters understand that we are organizing, we are building coalition, and that is something we're not going to back down from. So let me also say, when you think about the big boat, we're now all in this boat. Many people who didn't get a chance to learn about each other, talk to each other, we're now in the boat. And this boat is going to sail, and it's going to get rocky, and that there are storms ahead. But if we as a people stay together, work together, build together, then we will have a country for everybody. For Muslims, for people of all different faiths, for people who look different, but for people who have common ground, commonality, because at the end of the day, we're all here not just for ourselves. We are not here, it's not about us. I know many of you want to build a society for your children, for my children, and most importantly, for the children we're never going to know. So thank you, CARE New York. Thank you, Immigration Coalition. Alpha, Murad, all the people who work day to day on these issues. I will stand with you, march with you, fight with you, organize with you to make sure our city stands strong and is the envy of the nation. Thank you all very, very much. Enjoy the march. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Like this?
Yeah, or I can flip it. If I actually don't really know much about Facebook Live. Does it need to go vertical or can it go horizontal?
It can go vertical.
Great. So, just put it in. Alright. So this is my personal
Hey,
tripod.
okay. Ho ho!
So
Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho ho! Donald Trump has got to
Or
go.
whatever.
All right, folks.
I'm sure
Thank
you can figure it out.
to our comptroller, Scott Springer.
Whatever.
Next, we're going to have Marissa from the New York City Commission on Human Rights. The commission works on behalf of protecting the civil and human rights of New Yorkers in this city. So without further ado, Marissa.
Good morning, New York! Salam alaikum, New York. So my name is Marissa Jackson. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Community Relations at the New York City Commission on Human Rights. And as a New Yorker, I'm proud to say that I love Muslims. So it's a pleasure and it's an honor to be spending a part of my Saturday with you and looking out into all your beautiful faces. And you know, I know many of you are fasting and it's hot, but this matters, and it's important that we all come together to stand against some of the negative forces that have been, you know, escalating and making themselves more visible. We know, as New Yorkers, that we have always been stronger together. We know that it doesn't matter what religion you follow, or if you follow religion at all. We know that we are diverse, that we're cosmopolitan, that we are just better together. So that's why I wanted to be here, and that's why I wanted to speak with you all today on behalf of the New York City Commission on Human Rights. The Commission is very much aware of the things that are going on around the country and even increasingly in the city. And so we've been really amping up our efforts to engage with Muslim communities throughout the city, recognizing that Muslims themselves we're not monolithic people, right? Throughout the boroughs, there are, every day from the commission, there are staffers giving anti-Islamophobia trainings. They're in mosques, in schools, and really just sharing with everybody all the values that we all share here today. So on that note, I won't speak too long. I just want to say that also, you know, you have a friend in New York City. I say that on behalf of the commission, on behalf of Mayor de Blasio, and we really hope that you will continue to engage with us together as we stand with you, as we march with you today. Please do not be a stranger. The commission is here for you. Please engage with us on social media, at NYCCHR on Twitter, on our website at nyc.gov/human rights. You can call us at 311. And if you are identifying bias, incidents, anything that looks like discrimination, please be in touch. That's why the commission exists. Over the last 2 years, we have doubled our investigations of and complaints based on racism and anti-Islamic or religious-based harassment. We take it very seriously, and we get results. So please don't be a stranger. Please get to know us. We're certainly happy to get to know you. And, you know, going forward, I hope you will just enjoy this day and the rest of the demonstration. And while you're doing it, know that you are the true New York. You are the true America. The other people don't speak for us. As I close, I want to just make one point about human rights. Human rights don't come from Washington. Human rights don't even come from City Hall. Human rights come from within, around, and above. So human rights are yours. They're yours, and they're yours, and they're yours. They can't be taken away from you. And even when they're violated, they are still yours. And we work on that basis. So enjoy the day, enjoy the rest of Ramadan, and know that I love you, and that New York City loves you. Thank you.
All right, folks. Thank you so much, Marissa. So,
This is what democracy looks like.
what does democracy look like?
This is what democracy looks like.
What does democracy look like?
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
That's right, folks. That's right. All right, next up we have Gail Brewer, our borough president. Gail has been fighting on behalf of not only New Yorkers, but also folks who've lived in this borough. She's been at every single civic action that I've also done. She's a trooper, she's a fighter, she is part of this resistance. So without further ado, Gail Brewer.
Thank you very much. I know we feel very strongly that New York City loves the Muslim community. New York City loves the Muslim community. And you look fabulous. You really are what New York City is all about. This is a crazy time of challenge and controversy, but I know where you have been standing. We were standing at the taxi stand at JFK at the parking garage, 10,000 strong, delivering the message that if this president wants to come for Muslims, we say no. We stood in Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza, millions of women marching up Fifth Avenue. We said that women will not go back. We stood at Stonewall. His Attorney General and Education Secretary took away federal protection for transgender kids at school. We were there to speak up for the students. We've been standing in the streets together, and we are going to keep standing just like we are here today. We stand against bigotry. We stand against racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, transphobia. We stand for American values, democracy, a free press, civil rights, dignity for all. Get that, Trump! We will use every lever of city and state government to protect people in the communities and to find and bring justice to those who commit hate. That's what you stand for, that's what I stand for, and that's what New York stands for. And in the end, get this, Trump, we will win. Never doubt that, because we know what New York City is all about. We are the greatest city in the world, the greatest city of immigrants. We know that diversity makes us strong. Get that, Trump. America is a land of the free, no matter what we look like, who we love, or how we worship. Those people selling hate around the United States today who want to turn back the clock, they will not win. We win, we're diverse, we're New York City, and we love the Muslim community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail. Next we have Abir Kawas, who is the youth lead organizer at the Arab American Association of New York. She has worked with several organizations in the city around issues such as immigration, police surveillance, racial profiling. So without further ado, Abir.
Right, Assalamu alaikum everybody. And Ramadan Mubarak to everybody who's celebrating. My name is Abir Kawas. I'm the lead organizer at the Arab American Association of New York. We are in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, the largest Arab neighborhood in New York City and the second largest in the country. At the Arab American Association, we know that Islamophobia is not just interpersonal, but it is also institutional. And with our base of women and youth, every single day we hear the real life effects of Islamophobic policies. We learn how they affect people in their jobs, in their homes, in their families, and mostly in their minds and in their hearts. We have generations of people who have grown up under the Islamophobic toxic environment that exists today, and we have generations who are continuing to inherit this toxic environment. And it seems like the efforts of Islamophobes are relentless. It's not enough that Islamophobes have taken away the rights of our community. It's not enough that we have been investigated and interrogated, put on no-fly lists, we go through security. It's not enough that thousands of us have been deported. It's not enough that we have endured surveillance in our mosques, in our restaurants, in our college clubs. It's not enough that the fabric of our society has been torn, the trust in our communities has been torn because we have lost trust in one another due to spies and undercovers coming into our community. It's not enough that every single time Muslim youth turns on the TV, they see a violent attack against one of their people. Every single time we go on, scroll down our news feeds, we are seeing a hate crime, and hate crimes, you know, they're not just people yelling at you, as we saw in Portland last week. Something that is so commonplace for so many Muslims, to be sitting on the MTA and have somebody yell at them, can turn into an extremely violent event where people can be killed, like what happened in Portland 2 weeks ago. So it's not enough for these Islamophobes. They won't rest until they have instilled fear and racism and hatred into the hearts of the masses so that they can continue this vendetta against our community. But we say that it's enough. We say this ain't going down. Because the one problem with trying to instill fear and hatred into the masses of people is that we are the masses of people right here. We, you, and I, all of us standing here in allyship and solidarity with one another. We are standing here, we are existing, we are resisting with one another. And we are not just doing this by being people who are contributing to their society and making up the fabric of their society, the fabric of New York City, but we're also doing this by leading social justice movements in New York City. We are fighting for our rights, and we are fighting for the rights of all people in New York City. We are the Islam, we are the Muslims that they fear because we recognize truth amongst their falsehood, because we don't allow them to continue these policies that perpetuate their own power, because we stand here and we call for the power of the people. All people, all the marginalized, all the disenfranchised, and that is scary to them. That is why they create these rallies, but we do not fear them. We know that together we will win. Thank you, everybody.
Oh. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Islamophobia has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Islamophobia has got to go. Let's make some noise. Give me 1 second, folks. All right. So next we have Michelle and Zaina, who are representing the Muslim Jewish Solidarity Committee. Michelle and Zaina organized with the New York City Muslim Jewish Solidarity Committee, a grassroots group established in the fall of 2014 with the goal of resisting hate by building sustainable relationships between New York's vibrant Jewish and Muslim communities. Michelle, the committee's executive director, is a mom and a strong believer in the idea that the only way to long-lasting change is through people-to-people communication. Zaina, the committee's communications director, is active in queer organizing and civic tech in addition to her interfaith work. Please welcome Michelle and Zaina.
Thank you all for coming today. Too often we stay within our communities with people who share our culture and values, people who work in the same industry as us, people with similar backgrounds and goals. However, when we reach out to those who are different, to the perennial other, with an open heart, respect, and genuine curiosity, our perspectives begin to broaden. When you get to know people with different backgrounds and points of view, you begin to learn from and appreciate the beautiful diversity within the human race. And that's really why we're all here today. And as we know, diverse communities are more resilient in the face of widespread hatred and bigotry. Diverse communities are more creative and inclusive with their organizing. Diverse communities stand up for the most disadvantaged and leave no one behind.
We love you all for being here today, but unfortunately that's not enough. These speeches, that's not what's going to build these diverse communities that Zina just spoke about. That's your challenge, that's up to you to make happen. So let's start with a small step. In a few minutes, we're all gonna march together. Make sure you don't just march with the people you came with. Introduce yourself to each other, say hi, march with strangers. Then take it to the next level. I mean, we always say how proud we are New York is so diverse, but is it really? Are we really fully embracing our diversity? Or are we just living some parallel existence and tolerating each other? So your next challenge is not to tolerate but learn to love this diversity. Make it a celebration because way too many people think it's a threat. Step out of your comfort zone and really get to know your neighbors and your colleagues. Open your homes to them, be curious, share and learn about each other's traditions and customs, celebrate them together. That's what we do for the New York City Muslim Jewish Solidarity Committee. We'd love for you to join us, organize with us, and help us build real relationships between diverse New Yorkers. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle and Zaina. So next up, we have Sumaya from ISO. All right, Sumaya, take it.
Thanks, everyone. My name is Sumaya, and I'm here with the International Socialist Organization. And the first thing I want to start with is that so many of us showed up here today, not just here, but also at Foley Square confronting the bigots, and that's amazing. And it's really important because right now we're living at a time where the far right in this country is growing. They're emboldened. They feel like they suddenly have all this power because their acts, their bigotry, their racism is championed by the president, by other politicians, and so they have power, and they feel emboldened to do all these acts, like what we saw in Portland 2 weeks ago, and the murder that we saw happen in Maryland about 10 days ago. And that's why it's extremely important for us to be out here today, here and at Foley Square, and to be resisting and building solidarity. Because love can take us so far, but what we really need is to build coalitions, to build solidarity, to understand that in order for Muslims to be free, immigrants need to be free. In order for Muslims to be free, Jews need to feel free. In order for Muslims to be free, we all need to have that freedom and equality. Racism, anti-immigration, anti-immigrant sentiment, Islamophobia, all of this must end. And the only way for it to end is for us to stand together, united against hate and bigotry. And what that means is we need to fight together. We need to stand together, we need to rise together, and we need to fight and resist together. And that's the only way we will win. And I'm sure many of you remember the airport protests only a couple months ago. What happened there? We all waited for politicians to do things, and guess what? They didn't. What changed the policy was us. We went to the airports, we went to JFK, we were there in the thousands, and we changed things. We reversed the Muslim ban. We let refugees in. That is the type of power that we have. That is what we're capable of, and we don't want to forget that. We don't want to lose that. Yes, elections are coming up, but who cares? That's not going to change anything. We are going to change. Us, the coalitions that are here, the ISO, JVP, Jews for Racial Economic Justice, Arab American Association, all these different groups that are here, we are going to be that change, and everybody needs to remember that. Everybody needs to remember that next time there's a rally, next time there's a protest, and we need to remember that this is urgent, that this time is important, that the far right is growing, and that's why we need to be out there in the streets, and that's why we need to learn to work together, to compromise, and to build strong coalitions, to build a united front, to fight the racists, to fight the right. So I'm going to end here with a chant, and I want everybody to join in. Unite, unite, unite and fight the right. Unite, unite, unite and fight the right. Unite, unite, unite and fight the right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sumaya, with that powerful speech. All right, folks. Next, we're going to have Reverend Chloe Breyer, who is an Episcopal priest in the Diocese of New York. From 2000 to 2013, she founded and directed the Cathedral Forums on Religion and Public Life at the Cathedral of St. John of the Divine. Following 9/11, she also worked on an interfaith initiative to rebuild a mosque in Afghanistan, which coincidentally is where I'm from. And so without further ado, Reverend Chloe Breyer.
Someone said New York City is the greatest city in the world. Can you say New York City is the greatest city in the world? New York City is the greatest city in the world. Well, just if you had any doubts about it, look around you today. Turn to your neighbor and see their face. Just look, the sun is out, the weather is warm, and anti-Islamophobia rallies abound. They're here, they're there, they're everywhere. And what's more, look at today's schedule. If you decide you want some exercise, go over to Brooklyn a little later in the afternoon and you can have a Ramadan run, a 5K event. And then if you get hungry, and some of us will be more hungry than others of us, there is an interfaith iftar over at Cadman Plaza, and all are welcome. Please see my colleague Iman Bukadoum right there if you want some information about it. Well, there are a few spoilers perhaps, but mostly it's those who are envious of the good time we're having here in New York. And there's not much we can do about it. But to continue to have fun, continue to celebrate and enjoy our diversity, and to continue to remember that Muslim New Yorkers are the citizens of our city that make our city rich and beautiful and vibrant. We know that at the Interfaith Center of New York. Well, in addition to working at the Interfaith Center, I'm an Episcopal priest, and I wanted to share with you some of the things that we pray at church. And in particular, when we pray about cities, here is what we say. Bear with me for a second. Behold, we ask God, and visit, we pray, the cities of the earth. Renew the ties of mutual regard which form our civic life. Send us honest leaders. Help us fight poverty, prejudice, and oppression, that peace may prevail with righteousness, and justice with order, and that men and women from different cultures, different religions, and differing talents may find in each other the fulfillment of their humanity. Thank you all for being here.
All right, folks, we're almost about to march. We have just a few speakers left. I'd like to introduce Yasmin Kamel. She's from, woo! Make some noise for Yasmin. All right, we got a lot of supporters for Yasmin here. That's awesome. So Yasmin is an immigrant and Palestine solidarity activist. She's an organizer with Bay Ridge for Social Justice. And so without further ado, Yasmin.
No hate, no fear. Muslims are welcome here. No fear. Muslims are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Muslims are welcome here. No fear. Muslims are welcome here. Assalamu alaikum. I'm really glad I get to speak to you all today. I don't have too much time, but there are a few things I want to say. A little while ago, I got to take a look at a tiny, pathetic group of people not too far away from here who are trying to convince this city and trying to convince the public here that Muslims are dangerous, that Muslims are synonymous with sexism, that Muslims are synonymous with oppression, that Muslims are synonymous with terror. And we're here to call them out on that lie. We're here to let them know that Muslims are peace, Muslims are workers, Muslims are neighbors, they are part of this country, they're part of this country's history, and we welcome them and we stand in solidarity with them. The thing is, they're right about one thing. There's something called terror here in this country. It's called white supremacy. It's called the KKK, that's been emboldened by the current administration and other white supremacist organizations. It's the white man called Jeremy Christian who decided to harass a couple of women of color and then murder two men who decided to stand up for them and defend them in Portland. It's the police violence that's taking place against black and brown men in this country and black and brown women, and the men that are being murdered on a daily basis by the police in this country. It's ICE invading people's homes and kidnapping people and taking them away from their families. It's the refusal to let refugees into this country with the excuse that they're dangerous to us, when in fact they're fleeing the war that was in part created by this government's foreign policy. This is the terror that we need to be fighting. And the way that we should be fighting that is by first demanding that we live in a sanctuary city and do that in a meaningful way. That is, no surveillance of Muslims, no harassment of Muslims, no justification of targeting Muslims by the police, by the FBI, by surveillance. That is demanding asylum for all immigrants and refugees. And that is standing together not only to say that we love Muslims, but that we will stand and defend them against the tiny group of hateful bigots who are across the way from here, but also against the Trump administration and all his supporters. And we stand not only to say that we love Muslims, but we will defend them, we will stand against Muslim bans, we will stand against policies against refugees, we will stand against policies that try to outlaw immigration, that try to decriminalize immigrants and try to take them away from our communities and deprive us of the work that they've been doing here and the contributions that they've been making to our society. And we stand against war because it's justified with Islamophobia. We have to say no to war. We have to say we are not afraid of Muslims here in New York or Muslims across the Atlantic from us. We will stand against killing Muslims over there and detaining and deporting Muslims over here. And just one last chant. From Mexico to Palestine, border walls are a crime. From Mexico to Palestine, border walls are a crime. Solidarity.
All right, everybody, how you feeling? So in our peace and in our love and our solidarity, we want to chant out something really nice and loud for all of New York City to hear us. All right, so let's start with the basic: no hate, no fear. Muslims are always welcome here. No hate, no fear. Muslims are 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 welcome here. Let's make it even louder together people of all faiths, all colors, all socioeconomic backgrounds. This is what democracy looks like. And everybody in this nation needs to look at it because they want to steal that away from us, but it doesn't happen here in NYC, not in our watch. So let's do it 5 times. Show us what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Can't hear you. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show us what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show us what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
My people, thank you.
Thank you, Afaf. And last but not least, one of our other co-sponsors, the New York City Immigration Coalition. Carlene from the New York City Immigration Coalition is going to speak. And I could not be, let's just say that the New York City Immigration Coalition has been also an instrumental partner in making this a safe, loving, empathetic environment. So without further ado, Carlene.
Good morning, New York City. Let's hear you. So I'm Carlene Pinto. I work with the New York State Immigrant Coalition, and I want to make sure everyone knows that we are a coalition that represents 200 member organizations from Buffalo through Brooklyn, and Bear is one of my very strong organizers, and she represents her entire community. So give it up for Bear, who is on the front lines every day. And when we talk about this anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim criminalization that this federal government is pushing upon us, I am choosing to wear a Promesa t-shirt on the eve of the Puerto Rican Day Parade because our brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico are in crisis. And so I want to make sure, not only do the folks know that we are so engaged in the immigration issues right here, but we need to start talking about migration and what happens when our countries and our islands lose the socio-economic capital and that they can no longer feed their families. That is what causes migration. And we have 11 million people in this country that are undocumented because we have an immigration system that does not work. And I'm sorry if I'm real fired up, but I got off a plane last night at 11:30 from Chicago because they're going through the same thing that we are. So let's give it up for every city that is resisting xenophobia, that is resisting Islamophobia, that is resisting 45 and Secretary Kelly. Let's give it up. Let's put your fist in the air for freedom and truth because we need to keep fighting. So to our partners at CARE, who we march together, bringing tens of thousands of people together, African communities together, that's fighting for Haitian TPS. We have 50,000 Haitians that will probably be deported by December of this year if you do not do something. So let's take this as a call to action for our Muslim brothers and sisters. Let's take this as a call to action for our African immigrant brothers and sisters. Let's take this as a call to action to every father during Father's Day that is separated from their children, whether it is the prison on Rikers Island or whether it's Delaney Detention Center in Texas. One final thing about the Puerto Rican Day Parade and my Latino brothers and sisters. On this eve, we are no stranger to criminalization. When we talk about the shirt I'm wearing right now, I was just told, as it was given to me by an organizer with the New York State Nurses Association, that I cannot wear this to the Puerto Rican Day Parade because this is now a symbol of terrorism. Let's be very clear that there are 3.5 million Puerto Ricans on the island of Puerto Rico that are U.S. citizens. Let's know that 300,000 of them came mainland last year because there is no education and no opportunity for them because of our Congress and the Fiscal Control Board that is exploiting them. And let's be clear that in Puerto Rico, there were issues that happened in the 60s and 70s that greatly devastated the island and gave rise to the Young Lords Party here in New York City, who are also categorized as terrorists. We need to be very clear about the words they use when they criminalize our communities, and we must fight back every single time for truth and justice. Let's put those fists up in the air. No justice! No justice! No justice! Thank Thank you, everyone. And I want to make a very clear call to action. We've been in the streets every single day since 45 has taken office. And we know that there are opposition. There are groups of people that are inserting themselves in our peaceful actions and trying to cause divisiveness and disturbances. So if the organizers of any rally are calling for all of us to march unified to a separate location, it is because we can no longer put ourselves in situations where the press and the media get a narrative that we are indulging ourselves in the hatred that they are throwing at us. So let's promise ourselves to love each other, to stand up for one another, and things like the Japanese internment camp will never ever happen again. Let's give it up!
That's right. What does democracy look like? Tell me what democracy looks like. All right, folks, we're about to march. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for standing for love over fear. I also want to make one last point. We are not, and I repeat, we are not marching to Foley Square. And that is by design. Because when they do go low, we must